Hey guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoiler-free review for Kristen of Kap89x's traveling book, which is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. If you are only interested in the spoiler-free review, please click here and you'll be taken to that. So first off, I was the first person to get Ready Player One for Kristen's traveling book. I will link her video information for it down below, but she is sending this book around to people all across the world to write in it, draw in it, doodle in it, put stickers in it, read it, and comment on it and everything, and then she's gonna get it back after a year with all of our comments, doodles, whatever in it. So I was the first one to get it, which is very exciting. I was in the middle of listening to this on audiobook when she said that she was going to do the traveling book, so I stopped listening to an audiobook for about a month or so and then picked it up and read the rest of it. So I had a very interesting reading experience with this book. The rules of the traveling book are to 1, mark up this book in any way you want, like I mentioned earlier. 2, to only hold on to it for 2 weeks before sending it on to somebody else. I kind of cheated with this one. I was having a lot of stuff where I couldn't really read, so I had it for about a month, but I'm sending it on now. I failed, but you're not supposed to. I'm really sorry. 3, to then make a video about everything that you did with the book, which is what I'm doing now alongside my review. 4, use the hashtag to mark everything up on Twitter and Instagram and anywhere else that you want to post about it. And then the very last person returns it to Kristen by time for her birthday next year so that she can see everything. So as far as my contributions, I started writing it about halfway through because, like I said, I was listening to the audiobook first, so I just started picking it up from where I was at in the audiobook, and I was writing in it in blue marker, and they were the nice Stabilo markers so they didn't bleed everywhere. So my writing in this, if you are going to get this book next, is in the blue writing. So there are a few things that I mentioned, but I don't want to point it out because they're spoilers, but if I found something funny, or I found something weird, or I found something anything, I wrote it in. I then also inserted some stickers, so I have some cool like bam and zoom and kapow, as well as some trophies and lightning bolts where appropriate. So that is it for my traveling book contributions. Now on to my spoiler-free review. This book is huge all over BookTube and the book community in general, but if you don't know, this is about our main character, Wade, who is living in a world in the future. It's 2044, I believe, and the world is kind of ravaged by, like, natural disasters, and it's really hard to live in, and it's overpopulated. So everybody pretty much lives in the Oasis. The Oasis is a huge virtual reality where everybody lives, they go to school, they work, they can do basically whatever they want. It's like a giant MMO, and you can do basically anything, live in any kind of world, be anybody that you want to be. At the beginning of the story, we are told that the eccentric creator of the Oasis passed away some years ago, and he left an Easter egg hunt throughout the Oasis in order to obtain an Easter egg, and whoever wins that Easter egg gets to get all of the rights to the Oasis. And it's nearly impossible to find, it's very cryptic, and the creator was obsessed with the 80s because he grew up in the 80s, so it's full of 80s nostalgia, 80s games, 80s everything. Also, we have an evil corporation which is also trying to win the Easter egg because they want to take over the Oasis and charge people for it and make it basically awful. So we follow Wade on his hunt for the Easter egg. So first off, I had an interesting reading experience with this because I read the first half on audiobook, which is narrated by Will Wheaton, and then the second half I read in physical form. As far as the audiobook, I really enjoyed it. I think this book really excels on audiobook. I wish I would have read the rest of it, but I wanted to be able to contribute to the traveling book. But I really enjoyed the audiobook and the narration and everything, and it really sucked you in. As far as the world building in this book, I think that's where the book really excelled. You really felt like you were in the Oasis, you knew what it was, he explained it very well, and you can be anything you want to be in the Oasis, and for somebody who's a gamer, that was really cool. But I will say that my complaint, which some people really love, but my complaint was that I think this was overly saturated with nostalgia 80s references. Yes, it was fun, and a lot of them I understood, but I think that at certain points it got to be where you're just trying to stuff nerd culture down our throats. I understood it, and I thought it was really imaginative how he managed to weave all of these different references and nostalgia pieces together, but at one point it just started to be like, you're just kind of trying to prove your nerd cred at this point, because he even started to put in stuff that was more modern references, so you get stuff like Firefly and stuff that like modern nerds really enjoy. And I think it was too much like nerd cred and too much nostalgia, and was really running too much on nostalgia for me. I enjoy the 80s enough. I'm not a huge 80s fan, admittedly, but I know the references for the most part. There were some really obscure ones in here though as well, and I think that it took a lot of time away from the story where he was explaining these obscure references, and it wasn't enjoyable personally to me as much as I thought it was going to be. Next we have the characters. Wade is your stereotypical gamer, nerd guy who knows everything there is to know about the Oasis and about this hunt and about all the 80s culture. All the characters in this story are basically super geniuses because they all have crazy memories, and that was a little bit too suspension of disbelief kind of thing for me as well, because every single character was like a super genius to where they would know all of these obscure references, be really great at these weird random games that like no one even knows about today and stuff like that, and that was a little bit disconcerting, but I did enjoy the characters. I like this more than Armada, which I've done a review for, which I will link on the screen. But my complaint with Armada is that you didn't get a lot of character development because it takes place over like 2 days, where this was about a year or so, maybe more, so you got to actually grow with the characters learned things, they grew as people, and it was enjoyable to watch their journey. My complaint as far as characters is that female characters are extremely light on the ground in this story. There are only a few, and they aren't very well fleshed out, in my opinion. I think the main girl, who is also a love interest, is very, again, stereotypical gamer girl. She never says it, but you almost get the implication that, like, I'm not like other girls, and I don't hang out with other girls. You never get her talking about other girls or anything like that. And it's just very sad for me because she is a really cool character, and she's very smart, and she's very kick-ass. But again, she feels kind of like that stereotypical smart, kick-ass gamer girl who's not like other girls, da-da-da-da-da. So that I found a little bit upsetting. I personally would have loved to have seen more female characters in this story because females are an equal part of the gaming community. Lastly, the plot. This was very fun and fast-paced. It really takes off from the very beginning. My, again, complaint with Armada is that the beginning was very slow and the end was really fast, where this felt pretty well-paced throughout. There were a couple slow points in there, but for the most part, it was pretty go from the beginning. Things are constantly happening, and like I said, all of the different references in games and everything else are really well woven in, so you really get this non-stop action story basically from the beginning. As I said with Armada, I think this would make a great movie. I'm actually really excited about the film. I know some people are very skeptical because it is their favorite book, and I get that, but I'm really excited. I think this will translate really well to film, especially because Steven Spielberg is doing it, so if anyone's gonna do it, it should really be him, and I think it's gonna make a great movie. I know that Ernest Cline started out as a screenwriter, I believe, and it really does show in his writing. It feels like you're reading a movie script or a summary of a movie, and I really did enjoy that. It is a lot of fun. So overall, I thought Ready Player One was a fun ride, but I did have some issues with it, so I gave it 3.5 to 4 out of 5 stars. I really can't decide where I sit with it. I have some problems with it, like I said, but I also thought it was a really fun ride. So 3.5 to 4 stars. So comment down below and let me know what you thought of Ready Player One. I know this is a huge fan favorite. Everybody's talking about it. Almost everybody has read it. It's a really great book to transition from YA into adult, as it is an adult book, but it feels kind of like YA pacing. So comment down below and let me know your thoughts. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye!